2, that's the number of TSX wagons I've seen in the last year. 15, that's the number of CUVs I've seen on the way to this filming location a short drive from my house. This is just the very beginning of the sales pitch for me to convince you to get a wagon instead of a CUV. Welcome to Flywheel Films. My name is Austin, and this is my new to me 2012 Acura TSX Wagon. So my wife and I recently decided to sell our 2020 Mazda CX-5 Signature for this 2012 Acura TSX Wagon. This video is going to serve as an intro of the wagon to the channel. We're also going to tell you our reasoning behind selling a newer, nicer car for this older wagon. So I like numbers, and I think numbers can do a really good job of proving a point. So I'm going to throw a few more at you. 15,000, that's roughly the amount of Acura TSX wagons that were sold in the United States between 2011 and 2014. Here's another number, 215,000. That is the number of Mazda CX-5s that was sold in that same time span, but Mazda CX-5 didn't even come out until 2012. So that's one of the first reasons why we decided to get this and sell our CX-5. We both like having something that's a little bit unique, a little bit different. And when you drive a CUV, especially one that there's literally millions on the road, you don't really feel all that unique, all that special, and you definitely feel that way driving something like this. So while owning something unique is always very fun and very interesting, it can definitely come with its headaches. That's the beauty of the TSX wagon. Underneath, it is just a Honda Accord. This is the K24 motor that was sold in literally millions of Hondas from the same time period. Now you might be asking yourself, Austin, giving up a CUV, you gotta be sacrificing some utility. Believe it or not, this has 31.5 cubic feet of storage behind the second row. The CX-5 only has 30.9. So even though this is what looks to be a smaller car, you actually have more storage behind the second row. Though you sacrifice a little bit of cabin space from the TSX compared to the CX-5, still ample seating room for 4 adults, 5 if you're squished, and I'm currently sitting behind my own seating position in the driver's seat, and though I don't have a ton of space, I'm still comfortable. And even though this car is 8 years older than the CX-5 that we traded in, it still has heated seats, it still has leather. We do not have adaptive cruise control or CarPlay, but I can add CarPlay pretty easily to this. And as far as fuel economy goes, this is actually more efficient than our CX-5. We had the all-wheel drive turbo version, and that's part of the reason why. But yeah, I've seen up to 30 miles per gallon on the highway with this already, and I never once saw that in our CX-5. So convincing my wife to give up the seating position in a CUV, which she's always driven, there was a lot of factors. Now, what I just told you about, the uniqueness and the practicality function of it definitely helped in that argument. But the cost side of it was definitely another big factor in us making the decision to sell the CX-5 for this. So to tell you a little bit more about that, I'll let my wife do the talking.
Hi, I'm Austin's wife. So many might ask, why would we get rid of a 2020 and trade it in for a 2012? But the main thing for me was cost. We had a pretty high interest rate on our loan on the CX-5 because interest rates on used car loans are just ridiculous right now. We bought it a year ago with the hopes of potentially refinancing by now, but interest rates have only gotten higher since then. So we kind of took a hard look at how much we would be spending in interest alone over the course and the life of the loan that we had on the CX-5, and it just didn't make sense for the season of life we're in right now. My commute to work is only about 1.5 miles from our house. Austin works from home, and so we really just didn't need anything super new with very low mileage. This is still under 100,000 miles, so we felt very comfortable. It's very reliable, as Austin said. Practicality is a big thing for me, and so really I don't care as much about all the bells and whistles as Austin does, but I also know he wanted to pick something that not every person had, that we wouldn't see everyone driving around in, and the CX-5 is definitely something that everyone is driving around in for good reason. Though it's a really great car. Yeah. I would recommend that car to absolutely anyone who is looking for a CUV, but it's been really cool in this season of life to own both of our cars outright. I think sometimes for me personally, when I actually have the title in hand and I own it, it feels more like mine. And more personal.
A larger sense of ownership for that. And before we bought the CX-5, we owned both my Fiesta and Addie's Jeep outright. And then I basically traded the Fiesta for the Lexus because they're very similar in value. And it was interesting going to having both cars outright to having a car payment. And I think we just decided that for the application and the use that we have right now, there was no need to have a car that nice.
I think also, like, when we bought the CX-5, Austin still had his Fiesta. So
true.
it was like, we still need something that's a little bigger for when we go on road trips and we have our dog with us. But then Austin bought a 3-row SUV.
Yeah,
so then we had a 3-row SUV and a CUV, and then we don't have children.
No.
So it just made zero sense for us to have 2 larger vehicles.
Yeah. That was definitely a big reason why the CX-5, we felt like we needed a CUV for like ground clearance to get to the outdoor things that we enjoy doing and all-wheel drive. But then, like Addie said, I kind of went and got a big old 3-row SUV with high clearance and 4-wheel drive and all that. So it kind of made a lot of those things from the CX-5 obsolete in a way where we didn't have those same needs from it. And then I think a wagon made a lot more sense because it's a little bit better on gas and I think better to drive. And so there's a lot of factors that went into it, but I really feel like at the end of the day, the decision was driven most by cost. And then, of course, like Addie said, because we decided we wanted to lower our cost, there's some other things that we chose, like a unique car and a practical car. But cost was kind of the biggest driving factor behind why we decided to do this. So definitely leave a comment below if you are also considering selling a car, getting out of a car payment. I know there's a lot of very split opinions on whether or not you should have a car payment, how much your car payment should be. I definitely am a proponent of having a car payment for different things. If we still lived in DFW and we needed a reliable car to commute in, and we both commuted, we would absolutely have a car payment. But different seasons of life, different times, I think, call for different situations with vehicles. So
yeah, I think it's definitely all about where you are currently in life and doing what's best for you.
And we just happened to get a super fun, interesting wagon and replace a boring CV with it, which I am never opposed with. But thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, leave a comment, leave a like. We really appreciate that, and we'll see you in the next one.